Hello, good afternoon, not quite, good morning. So it's close to the end of the middle of the year and I wanted to leave it till late as possible so I had the most to draw from when reading. But I'm going to do the mid-year freak-out tag, which everybody's been doing, and it's fun. I'm Isabel Reads, and I have so far this year read 17 books, which is one more book than I read all of last year, so already we've made progress, yay! Not that it's about quantity, it's about quality, but I am definitely getting back into the love of it and just loving reading again, which is great. So let's get on to the questions. The best book I've read so far this year. That will have to be a draw between Elantris by Brandon Sanderson and Fortuna Swan by KJ Sutton. This one I read over a long period of time because it's quite long, about 600 and something pages. This one I started yesterday and finished this morning, devoured. What I loved about Elantris was Sanderson's world building is immaculate. Like, there's so much of it is based on like politics of the area and like how they're kind of trying to, one person is trying to convert the entire place to their religion but doesn't want any bloodshed, so he's trying to see how he can manipulate politically or psychologically to convert the people to the one true religion of Jadeth. Other people are trying to stop him doing that, but also they don't really like the current king and what he's doing. And then the third person is trying to, well, that's the secret, isn't it? The third person is in Elantris, let's say, is in Elantris. If you hadn't read it, I mean, this came out a very long time ago. When was it published? It was published in 2005, so I'm a bit behind the times on Sanderson, but I have watched all of his like writing lectures, and I have done for a few years, but I hadn't read any of his books, so I didn't know if he was chatting rubbish, as they'd say. But I can confirm to take his advice on his writing lectures because, chef's kiss. This is a very good book. I really enjoyed it and I can't wait. I've got the Mistborn trilogy next. I'll talk about this one more. I'm gonna do a kind of like a review, but also I kind of want to start doing, if there's somebody like an author or a genre or whatever, like I'm gonna be doing like Isabel Reads fantasy or Isabel Reads Sanderson. So I'm gonna do a review of this one, which can be episode 1 of Isabel Reads Sanderson, and then I might start kind of creating it into kind of a vlogging the experience and what I think during the books, like an episode per book, if that sounds fun. Hope so. And with Fortuna Swan, basically, I don't know if anyone watches Emmy Reads on BookTube. She is a fantastic booktuber, but she's talked about this series a lot. So I thought it kind of got to the point where I was like, right, okay, I'll have to read it. I'm now annoyed I don't have the rest, which I can't even buy them right now. Ugh. But this is about Fortuna. She's a nightmare, and she is on the search to find her brother and gets mixed up with fairies. So yeah, I read this in less than 24 hours. I did have to sleep in between. I loved it. The writing was really easy to read. It was sensual. The story was gripping. I liked the characters. They had flaws. They weren't perfect. The main character, she was flawed but also determined, and she seemed like a regular person with regular fears and regular insecurities, and she just seemed quite real, which is really nice. She made some bad decisions, but then again, she was in a situation where it's hard to know what the right decision really is. But no, definitely a good one, and I will be reading the rest of the series because I think Emmy said that this one is actually not the best one. They get better. So yeah, can't wait for that. So the next question was best sequel you've read so far this year, but I actually haven't read any sequels, so I can't answer that. I've got a lot of series where I've read the first book, so I could probably try and sort that out soon and read the next ones. But at the moment I haven't read a sequel yet this year, but I have started the Fortune of Sworn series. I started Dune. I started V.E. Schwab's, what's the one? Darker Shade of Magic. I read that. So I've started quite a few series, but I haven't read a sequel, so I can't answer that. New release you haven't read yet but you want to. Probably a lot of them. But actually, Daughter of the Moon Goddess I really would like to read. That's by Su Lin Tan, and it's just kind of like, it sounds really nice, like it's based on a Chinese myth or legend, and I love stuff that's like based on folklore, myth, legend. It's just very exciting to me, and also it's really pretty. So that is my answer for question 3, and I can't say much more about it because I've not read it. Most anticipated release for the second half of 2022. I don't keep a track normally of what's gonna come out, and I don't even really know what's come out. I just know that people talk about a lot of things all at once, and I know that those ones have come out, but I don't really keep track of it. I kind of read what I have or what I've found in charity shops, or secondhand in general. But I just had a quick look on a couple websites, and there's a couple that sound pretty good. Like, so the Daughter of the Moon Goddess looks like it's getting another book by Su Lin Tan called Heart of the Sun Warrior, which has a similar cover, which is pretty. So that's probably, I don't know whether it's a sequel because I forgot to check. But it's definitely by Su Lin Tan, so it's at least by the same author. Another one I saw, I like stuff about witches. I counted how many books I have about witches. I've got 10 at the moment. But I just tend to like reading about witches. I don't know, it's just something that I like. And books about books. I like to read, yeah, books about books. I have 20 books about books. And I'm currently listening to the bookwoman of, oh my gosh, where's she the bookwoman of? I forgot. The bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, that's where she lives. And I last year read The Readers of Broken Wheel Recommend, which I really liked as well. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, but that was really good. But anyway, we've moved on from witches, but that was the book that I am interested in, was called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, which sounds, actually, I just like it if it's got witch in the title. I'm pretty bad for that. I don't like going in knowing too much about the story, you know. Sometimes I do read the blurbs, but I tend not to that deeply, you know. It's the same with theatre shows. I don't really research theatre shows before I go. And just like to go in blind. It's more, I feel like you experience it very differently if you don't know what's coming. But there's also one by Carrie Thomas coming out called The Hedge Witch, which has a nice cover. And then there's one called The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which looks to be a Six Crimson Cranes book, but it's coming out this year. But I haven't read Six Crimson Cranes, but I also know that I do want to read that, and I also know the cover of that is stunning as well, because I'm a sucker for a good cover. What can I say? Okay, so the next question was my biggest disappointment. Sadly, I have two for this year. Firstly being And I know, Snow Country. Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata. I just didn't get along with it. Like, I didn't like the characters. I found it boring. I know that people were meant to really like the lyrical writing, but I didn't think it was that beautiful. Like, I've read better. I don't know, it didn't vibe with me, which is fine. It's not meant to vibe with everybody. And I know about Japanese literature and how it's always got these deeper meanings, and I do get that. And I know it's definitely subtle, as it says, but I didn't like the guy, I didn't like the girl, I didn't like the situation. I don't know, I just didn't like it. There's not really much more I can say. I read it in a day though, it's well short. But no, it didn't. It's a shame really, because I was really looking forward to it because everyone really liked it. But sadly that was a disappointment for me. But I have a second. It's The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. And I'm really sad about this one because I thought it was gonna be great. It got such good reviews. The cover is stunning. It's about the Ojibwe people, and that's not something you often get to see a book about, representing that culture. And I had high hopes for it, but I'm not gonna lie, I just did not like it. I didn't like it. I finished it, but I had to actually borrow the audiobook from Libby to try and get myself through it, because I hoped that it would pick up, but there was info dumping, the character was an idiot, it was unrealistic, and it was touching on definitely important themes that happen, and it is very important. I just felt like there's stuff that happens to this character, and I don't mean the stuff at the end, I mean the stuff that pushes the whole story forward that just would not happen. No one would entrust a teenager out of the blue, just asking her on a whim to do what they asked her to do. And I don't want to give spoilers, but they just wouldn't do that without any training. Like, and then who does she think she is? She's like, ooh, should I not tell them about this because and I get the whole, like, it's my people's business, I need to fix it, but she's what, 17? She needs to get a grip of herself. Who does she think she is? Oh, I'm so sorry. It made sense when her uncle did it. It doesn't make sense when she did it. And I get the angle they were going for, but then she just suddenly became, she did things that no one would think to do with, oh, like she's suddenly acting like a secret agent, and it just really pissed me off because it was really unrealistic. She was just a kid from school who studied biology and was going to go to uni, and then this stuff happens, and then suddenly she's out of the blue with no training, no anything, able to do all this stuff, and then she starts breaking the law and thinking it's okay, like she's out the law, and then she's hiding stuff from the people who are actually meant to be instructed by the government to go and do this. Oh. And I know that there were issues between the government and the Ojibwe people, because this book does explain it, and I do understand why she felt it was better for her to do it. But she was a 17-year-old who was too big for her britches, and they shouldn't have trusted her with it. They knew better. They knew better. Anyway, this made me really angry. I also just did not gel with the writing style whatsoever. It just, every 3 seconds she was explaining something really in-depthly to us, but it's not something that her inner monologue would have thought because she already knew it. Like, it was one of those, it was info dumping. They were trying to info dump by using the character, which I understand, but it wasn't something that the character would have naturally thought about in the moment. She was just, something would happen, like a couple lines of dialogue, and then there'd be 2 or 3 pages of her explaining something political or explaining something about the culture in really in depth, but to us, not to anyone else. And it just, she wouldn't be sitting there in that situation explaining to herself what the culture was in her own head, because she didn't need to. She grew up around it, she knew it. So it was jarring to me in that respect. But I would love to see more writing about like tribes and old cultures and spiritual and stuff like that, because I know we've got like witches and fae and all of that, but like real cultures. I like the concept was interesting, but it went a bit off the rails and I wasn't happy with it. And anyway, I've talked about this for a very long time. I'm sorry, it made me a bit angry. I started shouting at the audiobook at one point. There was one, I think she said something like, should I tell them that this information that I found that's pertinent to the case? And I was like hanging up my washing, and I like shouted like across the living room. I was like, yes, yes, you should tell them. Anyway, let's move on before I have an aneurysm. Biggest surprise. Nothing particularly surprised me. But I'm going to go with Fortuna Swan, because I didn't realise that I would devour it quite in the way that I did in less than 24 hours. I loved it. I don't even really know exactly what it was I loved about it, which is quite nice. It's just written in a way that I loved it. And that's enough, isn't it really? So, Fortuna Swan. Favourite new author, Brandon Sanderson. I know he's not a new writer, but he's a new writer to me, which is specified in the question that we're allowed to do. So Brandon Sanderson's writing was stunning. And again, as I said, I'd watched all his lectures and I've heard him speak about writing, and he sounded really good, but it's solidified my respect for the man. Especially because he keeps churning these out, these epics. Like, Elantris isn't even that long for him. I looked up what some of the Stormlight Archive audiobooks look like on Audible. One of them is 55 hours long. 55 hours. Imagine speaking for that long. How long would it have taken to record that audiobook? Ages. Ages. At least 55 hours. And he wrote 13 novels before he got Elantris sold. 13. But proves it's possible. You can do it. Writers, keep writing, I say to myself. Newest fictional crush. I don't really do fictional crushes. I don't do that many celebrity crushes either. And I only have one IRL crush. He's my boyfriend, it's not a crush. But it is a crush, I still crush him. I crush him. But I think if I were to pick someone that I liked quite a lot, but then it would blend into... Sorry, my hay fever is so bad at the moment. Maybe I'll combine 8 and 9 and give my favourite characters. So both actually are going to come from Fortuna Swan. I'm going to go with Laurie. If you know, you know. I'm not going to say anything else about him. A book that made me cry. Okay, I don't really cry at books. But Libby Page managed. I cried at The Island Home. There was a scene where I read it so quickly and I was like breathing really heavily, and then afterwards I just kind of cried. just a little bit. But I don't normally cry at books. Maybe I was having an emotional day. However, it did make me cry. So, The Island Home. I suppose it could also say it made me happy, because which is the next question. Because the other books I read were not particularly happy. I mean, I've read quite a lot of sad books this year. Or boring books, or books I didn't like, or... But this one made me cry, but it also made me happy, because this is a really heartwarming... I mean, to be fair, it's quite sad most of the way through. But not in like really, really sad kind of ways. But also, it is in really, really sad kind of ways. Whatever, it made me want to live on the island. There was a lot of happiness in this book. A lot of happiness. And happiness and peace were found in this book. And that is important. And also Libby Page, what a stunning writer. I need to read the 24 Hour Cafe because I have read The Lido and The Island Home and loved both, so I need to finish. I started it a while ago but didn't. You know when you start something and then you put it down by accident? I did that. It was just on my shelf and then I never picked it up. But I will, because she is such a great writer and a lovely lady. Like, if you follow her on Instagram, she's just so cute and smiley, and her son is adorable, and where she lives is beautiful. So it's worth a follow on Instagram, is Libby Page. So this is the one that made me cry and made me happy. The most beautiful book I've bought this year also goes to The Daughter of the Moon Goddess, because, I mean, look at it. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? I gave myself, I think, an achievable goal, that if I were to definitely want to read something by the end of the year, I would read Lord of the Rings, all three. I read The Hobbit when I was a kid. It took me a while because I was undiagnosed dyslexic, but struggled through it and got to the end. But I have these really nice copies that all match, because I found two in a charity shop and then had to go online to find the one that matches. But yes, if there were to be a series or a book or books that I want to have read by the end of the year, it will be Lord of the Rings, because then that's kind of like a bucket list series ticked off for me. Lord of the Rings is definitely on there. I haven't like consciously written down a bucket list for life, but things like The Lord of the Rings and His Dark Materials and stuff like that are all on there. I have read the first His Dark Materials when I was a kid, but it's been so long that I would have to reread it. And I think that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. I'm gonna go have a drink now because my hay fever is so bad that I'm just constantly dehydrated, and now I'm thirsty because I've spoken for 25 minutes. But yes, I hope you enjoyed my mid-year freak out tag. Please go and follow the people that I mentioned, even though they don't really need my help. But Emmy Reads on BookTube is my favourite booktuber. She's just so peaceful and fun, and if anything were to take you there, she's just got a ginger kitten called Calcifer, so now he's in the frame a lot. And that in itself is kind of worth it. And follow Libby Page on Instagram because she will just bring sunshine to your day. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, please do. I have a lot of things in the works. I mentioned a vlog, but all of the footage that I had filmed came off my phone a little bit broken, which is really sad. It's one of these things where I have an editor that I have on my computer which has an option on it for converting video to different types of file type, you know, but when I put the videos from my phone into it, it says there's no video, which isn't true because I can play the video on my computer. It just kind of breaks up and goes grey and looks funny. But the weird thing that I've found is if I go on a free online converter and upload my video, convert MP4 to MP4, so it's not really like changing very much, and then download it again, it works. But that is drastically time consuming, and these websites, when they're free, because I'm not paying for it, only let you convert like a certain amount of videos a day. So it's like inconvenient, but I need to figure out what it is about taking my videos off my phone onto the computer that's going wrong for future reference. But you didn't really need to know that, but now you know that. So thanks for watching till the end. If you've watched till the end, let me know your favourite book of the year so far in the comments, or if there's anything in particular that annoyed you. If you want to vibe off my anger for the Firekeeper's Daughter, please go ahead. If there's a book that pissed you off, let me know in the comments. But yes, thank you for watching, thank you for coming to my little space, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!